So today I want to show you all this web application. It's a vulnerable web application that I've been playing around with recently. Oh, here we go. I don't know why it does that. Here, let me share my screen. That'd probably help, right? I thought you all were looking at it this entire time. So it's this vulnerable web application called DVWA. It's a bunch of cool, different stuff on here that we can use, different attacks that we can practice if you want to get into pen testing, or you just want to practice different attacks. You want to see them hands-on, get used to it. DVWA is pretty dope. Okay, maybe one day I'll show you how to set it up, but there's this guy on YouTube, I can't remember his name right now, probably posted in here. He does a pretty good job with, you know, he has a lot of good walkthroughs on how to set it up and how to go through these attacks that I'm getting ready to show you. But first, let me go ahead and start the server up. And this is what we used yesterday, y'all, when we were doing the sea surfing and the cross-site scripting attacks. And I think the day before we did the command injection. So today I'm gonna try and keep it short so you all can get some sleep and I can get some sleep too. I really wanna get some sleep tonight. So I'm gonna just do the password attacks, the brute force attacks. And like always, if you all have any questions while I'm going through this, just say something, okay? Right? Don't yell at me, please. Just let me know. All right, so before we get into this, what's a brute force attack, y'all? Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
You're like just trying a bunch of random passwords until you crack it.
Yep. Bunch of random passwords. What's a good countermeasure to stop this?
What
was that?
I was gonna say rainbow tickle, but never mind. It's an attack. Never mind.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yep. What's a good way to stop a brute force attack? A good countermeasure. What's gonna stop you right in your tracks? If I try to guess the wrong password 4 or 5 times, what could stop me?
Lockout policy.
Oh, it's a limit. Yeah, lockout policy.
Right, an account lockout policy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kick off a brute force attack right here. Let me make sure my password, I'm gonna change the password just to make sure. Okay, cool. So there's an account here called admin. All right, there's an account called admin. That's the account I used to log in here. I'm gonna just type in a random password that's obviously wrong. Okay, this password is wrong. So what I'm gonna do is use a password cracker to try and brute force this password. Okay, and if you all do set up DVWA, right, I'm not doing this off the top of my head. I've done this before, so I know the instructions here. If you all set this up and you want to figure out what you're supposed to do, just click view help and it'll tell you everything you're gonna do, right? I'm not really gonna go over this stuff right here, but if you wanted to go in a step-by-step order and actually do this on your own, you can use the view help right here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is use a password cracker called WFuzz. Okay. Yeah, let me go over there first. I'm gonna try not to use my cheat sheet. Okay, all right, so WFuzz is a password cracking tool. So for me to get this to work, I'm going to first tell it a word list that I want to use to generate random passwords in here. All right, and the word list I want to use this one. I think this is what I used earlier. Make sure I spelled it right. User share word list fast track.txt. Okay, so I'm going to use this word list against, I need my cookies to do this attack apparently. So I'm going to need the cookies from this website, this user session that I'm logged into right now. I'm going to need those cookies to run this attack, at least for this tool that I'm using. I'm going to need the cookies. If I was using Burp Suite, if I was using Burp, I don't think I would need the cookies. But because I'm not using Burp, I'm using WFuzz. I'm going to grab these cookies. Still in the cookie from the cookie jar. All right, there are my cookies. And then I need the URL that we are attacking, which is this guy. Okay, this is the URL. This looks familiar to yesterday's CSurf attack. It should. Okay, and I need to tell WFuzz to brute force the password, right? Password equals test, but I'm going to switch this to fuzz to tell WFuzz to brute force this. I feel like I'm missing something, but I think I'm going to hit enter. So let me read this out loud before I hit enter so we're all on the same page. All right, WFuzz, this is a password cracking tool. All right, we are using it right now to brute force these credentials. In order to try to brute force it, I have to give it a word list, right? This -C is just to show colors when we get the results. But I have -W pointing to my word list to use as the passwords. If I open up the word list here, just so you can see what's in it, it's just a bunch of words. Right, it's just a bunch of random words. Okay, and I'm telling WFuzz to use these cookies so that the website doesn't, it trusts me, it trusts who I am, and it lets me do the brute forcing. And then I have to tell WFuzz the actual website or the URL to brute force. Right, this is the website that we're on. This is the URL or the URL parameters that's being used to send the credentials. You can see the username equals admin. And the password, it was test at first, but I switched it to fuzz so that WFuzz runs all these words through fuzz. Okay, I think that's everything. So I'm going to hit enter. And nothing's happening. So I'm going to use my cheat sheet. Wait. Okay, we're good. We're good, Toby. Chill out. All right, so it's a bunch of stuff in here. All right, this may not look normal, but remember when I think we did something similar to this yesterday, but I'm going to show you the hard way, then I'm going to show you the easy way to read this. The hard way is literally, so slow down. It just ran all of these words through that password field, okay? Now, one of the ways we can tell if the password was successful is by trying to find the difference, the needle in the haystack. So far, everything says 107, 246, 4272. You have to try to keep scrolling up until you find something that's different. Okay, I know what the password is, but I'm gonna keep scrolling so you all can go through the process. All right, but there's an easier way to do this, right? The password, I passed it. I just wanna make sure it worked. Okay, it did work. Do you all see the difference? Anybody spot it? It's on the screen. Buttermilk. Anybody see it? Don't see it yet? Not yet? Nope. Yay. Look at this 250 right here. Everything else is 246, and then this one is a 250. So that's an indicator that this is the right password. But if we wanted to, we could have told WFuzz, since we see the differences now right? 250 is a difference. We can tell wfuzz to only give us the lines that have 250. So it's only going to give us the lines that have 250. And this was the only one, right? Here, let me go back through it so you all can see that again. Maybe I went too fast. But where'd you go? 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 Right there. You see this 250 right here? And then everything else is 246. All right. Doing it this way, it's tedious, it's longer. But sometimes you have to find that difference, the anomaly, before you could try to do something like this to filter by. So watch this. Let's go ahead, because there are other users on this account or on this system. I'm going to type in admin. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question while you're doing that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the 250, that's always going to be the indicator that that's the correct password, or is it going to be a different number every time?
It's going to be different.
Okay.
And that's why you may not always be able to do something like this, right? Filter by 250, because it may not be the 250, right? It may be something else. It may be a different number that you see.
I got you.
All right, so admin was right. Let me move this down. And so when you do DVWA, if you right click this image right here and you go to, I'm just gonna copy this in a new tab. You'll see this image of the admin, right? It says admin.jpg, but if you remove this, you'll get the other users, their pictures, Smitty, Pablo, what's up, Pablo? Gordon B, and somebody named 1337. So we could try to brute force their accounts too, right? With the same process. So what I would do is this time, I'm gonna leave the 250. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave the 250, but this time I wanna brute force the usernames and the passwords, okay? Because we have other users now. So I'm gonna switch this to fuzz. And I'm gonna put a 2 in between this fuzz. And the reason is it lets wfuzz knows that this is the first field to brute force, and this is the second field to brute force. Okay, but I have to do a -z file. I'm gonna make a file called users.txt in a second. And this is a -z file. Yes. So that's, do I already have one? Yeah.
Toby, is this terminal in Windows or is it in Linux?
So I'm on Kali Linux right now.
Okay, and right. How are you able? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, I know this one. Never mind.
Now, what's your question? What's up, man?
I was gonna ask how you're able to edit that line, but
which line?
The line that you were just saying.
Up here? Are you asking how I'm switching between?
Yeah, like I can't remember exactly which one it is. I guess it would have to be Windows or another operating system or terminal we were on. But it's hard to edit the line like what you just did.
Okay. If you figure it out, let me know. I want to answer your question. So let's explain what I'm doing here. So it's the same thing, right? But this time, instead of trying to brute force one user, we're trying to brute force all these other user accounts. And I'm giving wfuzz a file called user.txt. This is the file right here. And we're using the same password file from last time. Okay, we're going to use the same cookies. We're going to use the same URL, but we're just going to fuzz the username and we're going to fuzz the password. So let's run that. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. And it's just going to go. We got Gordon, we got Pablo, we got you. And we got Smitty. I like that name. Smitty Jones. So that's how you brute force stuff, y'all. But as you all know from class, you can increase the level of security with DVWA. If you go to medium, it makes failed password attempts. It makes your it throttles it, right? It goes slower. So when we're running all these passwords that aren't incorrect, we're going to get a timeout. So we're going to have to wait a few seconds before we can try the next one. Here, I'll show you. I'm going to have to get some new cookies though. Because the cookies change, right? Yeah. I think it only changes to medium though. It's QRS4. Yeah, I think it only changes to medium. So I'm just going to change this from low to medium. It's going to be the same thing. This is just going to go slower. High is when they add a token. See, it's already going slow. You see how slow this is going? It's because those failed passwords, it's slowing us down, right? I'm not going to let this finish. Any questions, y'all? On brute force attempts, brute force. The way you stop this, when we go to impossible, they add a lockout policy. Okay, they add a lockout policy. So I think after 3 failed password attempts, I can't remember, they do add a lockout policy.
Which would make this take crazy long for you to be able to actually do?
I wouldn't. Unless I knew the passwords, I wouldn't, because I'd be locked out. The account would be locked out. In a real world environment, the account would be locked out until the user resets their password. And you can see this is still running, right? Like, this is ridiculous.
So I guess my question would be, in the real world, this isn't like actually used unless it's no lockout policy?
What isn't actually used?
A brute force attack.
I mean, if it's possible, it's used. Is it likely? Is that what you're asking? Is it likely? Not really. Well, most people.
Yeah. But is there a way that we could just compromise your lockout policy?
I mean, you would have to change the policy. You'd have to have access to even change the GPOs. So
that's what I was just about to say.
You could, right? But you'd need access to do that. Maybe you compromise a user account that had access to the GPOs, then you could go ahead and change the lockout policy if you want. But if you had access to change the GPOs, you probably wouldn't be worried about that anymore.
Social engineering.
You just wouldn't be worried about that anymore. If you could change the GPOs, you got enough access. You're already on the account. There's no point of brute forcing it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But you'll probably change the GPOs to open up more holes so you can get back in, right? Maintain persistence, maybe. But yeah. Any other questions, y'all? See, with the, let's just go ahead and let me show you the high. The high is pretty cool. Okay, with high, oh man, did I break it? I think I broke it.
Good job, Toby.
Thank you, sir. All right. So if I switch it to high, this time the attack won't work now. Okay, it won't work now, and that's because it's using some, whoops. Okay. This toolbar is in my way and I can't grab what I'm looking for. You guys can't see the toolbar, but I gotta type Burp Suite out now. I can't grab my applications. I don't know why my panel is like blocking me. But now when you try to type in this password, if I do it here, there's a token associated with it now. Okay, so that password attack that I was doing, it won't be successful unless I have the token, the user's token, right? And it's called a CSRF token. Okay, it's called a CSRF token to try to prevent CSRF attacks and these brute force attacks that we're doing now. So the only way this is going to work now on high when they're using a CSRF token is if I'm capturing this token for each password attempt that I'm doing. So if I'm running password 1, I'm going to need the token. When I run my next brute force for the password called groove, I'm going to need the token for that too. And then for the next pass, I'm going to need a token per password. So I don't really know how to do that with WFuzz. If you can do that with WFuzz, maybe, but I can do it with Burp. Okay, so with Burp, first we're going to intercept this request. Okay, we have the request. You can see the user token is here. And notice how it's different. This token is different from this token right here, right? You all may have to zoom in. Okay, this token is different from this token right here. That token is going to change consistently. So we have to change with it. So I'm going to send this to Intruder. You all saw this before. You all used Intruder. I think you used that on one of your labs. But I'm going to tell Intruder to brute force the password and this token. Okay, we're going to switch this to Pitchfork. I'm going to give it my password list. I'll just use this one. Okay, I can see the password in there. And then the second one, right, for the token, I got to set this list too, but I'm going to use something else for that. I'm going to use what we call, I'm going to use some grep features. So I'm going to tell it, I'm going to point to the token. I got to find it. So here's the token right here. It's a user token. Here's the value. So I'm telling Burp that, hey, I'm trying to brute force this token. This is how long it is. And this is where it starts in this response right here. This entire thing that I'm inside of right now is the response. All right, so I want you to find this token after the 3,116th character, which is where this starts. And it's only 32 characters long. So every time we get a response, I want you to grab that token and use it with these password attempts. Okay, so now I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah.
So hang on. So you're using the token to pretend to be what?
To pretend to be this user right here that's logging in.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Because without the token, this won't work, right? So look.
That's so cool.
We tried.
That is crazy.
Shit. I thought I closed it. So if we try to do this, this won't work. I mean, it's gonna go super slow too. But actually, this isn't even right? Because I'm using the wrong cookies. This won't work. I just want you to see it though. You try to do this, it's not gonna work, all right, because we don't have the user token cookies, so we're gonna get 302. You see, we don't get 200 this time. All right, it's getting 302 because it's getting redirected to a failed, incorrect login screen. Okay, if it is working, you're gonna see the 200s that we saw. That's how you know if WFuzz is working.
And then the 404 is the error, right?
Well, a little bit different with these password crackers. All right, a little bit different, but you are right. You are right. An HTTP response of 404 is an error. All right, so this 200 right here, this lets me know that the password cracker is working. Okay, but this 300, we're getting redirected to a different page. When you saw it. So the wfuzzings are going to work because we're not giving wfuzz the user token that we're getting ready to give burp. So burp is getting a password, which is our password list right here, all these words. And then burp is also going to get a token, which is just going to grab from the response right here, the token that we just told it to grab. All right, it's going to grab it from this location. So let's go ahead and run it. I think I have everything set right. Let's see. So you can see it's running the password and it's running the token. A password, a different token. A password, a different token. A password, a different token. And we're getting the 200 status now. So we're going to have to eyeball this. All right, we already know the password, but if you didn't, you would have to eyeball this once it's done to try to figure out which one was the successful password. And it's going to be the same. You can see that all these are 4679 right now. All right, these are all bad passwords. So we want to find the difference, the needle in the haystack. So whichever one is different would be the correct password. And then if I don't want to mess up burp, when we go to impossible, you see that there's a lockout policy, but I think you can read it here. Oh no. Forward that. Go back here. I don't see the password yet. But over here, impossible level, they tell you why it's impossible. They added a lockout feature. So if you have 5 bad logins within the last 15 minutes, the user is locked out. Okay, look, 4679, 4722. We gave it a token and a password, right? Burp is literally just doing this right here over and over and over and over and over with the password and token we give it, right? Or the token that it's extracting, right? From the response of the server. The server is responding back to you, right? And your token is going to be inside of that. Remember that token we talked about, token that maintains your session. That's the token that we're using here. Any questions, y'all? That was good timing. That was good time.
Why did you need the cookies?
I needed the cookies when I was using wfuzz. I needed the cookies when I was using wfuzz, just so this browser, this web application could trust who I was when I was running through the Bruce. I don't think I would have had to use the cookies if I was doing it on burp, because I would have just used intruder. I would have never told it about any cookies, but burp may have used those cookies during the process, right? That's probably automated with burp. But with other tools like wfuzz and Hydra, you do need the cookies. Hydra is another password cracking tool. Hydra's just, I like Hydra. I mean, I'm not gonna say I like Hydra. I don't like Hydra. But if I have to use it, I'll use it. It's just, it gets on my nerves sometimes. But the tokens, if that's what you're talking about right here, I need this token, because if I don't supply the token, the web server won't trust me. It doesn't know who I am without this token.
No, I got the token. I was confused about the cookies, but I get it now.
Oh. Good question, Chris. Good question. Let me see who is still here. All right, I think we're all good. Roundhouse Inc., we're good. Deepa, Cedric, are we good? We good to close out? Joe, Courtney, all right. Joe said he's popping bottles for Courtney. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up. All right. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you can change the thumb up emoji on here. All right, y'all. We're gonna call it a Cyber Thursday. I want you all to get some sleep. Study. Don't forget about study hall on Saturday. Okay, study hall. Is it at 3 or 3:30?
3:30.
3:30. All right. I'll try to pop up and drop in on you all, see what you all are talking about. But you know, Calvin's gonna do his thing as always. So I will see you all on Monday. If I don't see you on Saturday, please stay safe. Hold on to your loved ones. Make sure you know, or make sure they know that you love them. And study. Okay, please study.
I got you, Toby.